Welcome back, AP students. This is another episode from the Forced Projects channel. I'm Mia.
And I'm Emily.
And in this episode, we will be talking all about the book Grendel by John Gardner. For anyone tuning in with us, which I don't know why you would unless you have to, we will be discussing issues in Grendel. For any of you who don't know, Grendel is a vicious monster in the book Beowulf, and the book that we will be discussing is his side of the story.
Before we aired, we had viewers tweet us their questions. @HuntingSlayer40 wants to know, why is Grendel a pessimist towards everything around him?
Personally, I think it's just his reaction and the wall he puts up because of how much he is disliked. He then tries to find comfort in inanimate objects, but that doesn't suffice him.
He expresses, "The sky ignores me, forever unimpressed. Him too I hate, the same as I hate these brainless budding trees, these prattling birds." It makes sense that he would feel this way because even as people, when we are hated and isolated, it is hard to be positive and like the things that despise you. Is he in the wrong for how he handles his bitterness?
Well, yes, because mass murder shouldn't ever be the go-to option when upset.
But is he wrong for being bitter?
No, not at all. Well, thank you for that wonderful question. Now moving on to a topic he should be less bitter about. His mom.
Twitter number 102 wants to know, what is the significance about the relationship between Grendel and his mother?
Well, Grendel constantly portrays the idea, even seen throughout our world, that we treat the people that love us the most the worst. When his mom is first introduced, he degrades her, saying she is glowing fat mother, sleeping old sick at heart in our dingy underground room, that life-suffering hag. Well, I don't know about you, but if I ever talked about my mom like this, I would be slapped.
I would be disowned. He says these awful things about her because he sees some human in her. On page 17, he acknowledges that out of all the creatures he knew in those days, only his mother really looked at him. She loved him.
She is his savior and snaps him out of his terribleness. He knows that she brings out the better in him and still loves him at his worst. She reminds him of being human.
Another question we were asked by Hrothgar Gamer 02 is, does Grendel not like man because man reminds him of himself? I think in some ways Grendel is more man-like than he thinks.
He despises men because of how they look at the world with a purpose, but, so does Grendel. Men look at the world as if they're all there for a reason, as if they belong, and Grendel sees the world as the terrible sameness age after age.
But as the book goes on, Grendel does find his purpose. When he starts going on killing sprees, he says, "I had become something, as if born again." He too now has a purpose in life, just like the men do.
Wow, interesting viewpoint, Emily. I can't say that you're wrong, though.
This moves us into the next topic. Was the dragon an actual thing, or just Grendel's subconscious?
Well, before the dragon as a character is introduced, Grendel says, "He is not my friend," and then states on page 15 that as a kid, he had imaginary friends and he created fake scenarios in his head.
This shows that Grendel has a past in thinking up of things and pretending they are his reality.
During Grendel and the dragon's interaction, Grendel debates on whether or not he should consider the dragon's words because, quote, for all he knew, he might be telling him gibberish on purpose.
Yeah, this could all be a metaphor for Grendel having a hard time listening to himself.
I think sometimes we all have a little bit of trouble with that.
You're right. On to the next question from Beowulf Lover 23. How would people see the king and Grendel if the Shaper did not interfere in both of their lives? Well, if the Shaper was not changing the people's perception of them, I don't think that Grendel would be as bitter as he is.
And the king wouldn't be so praised.
As Grendel is listening to the men, he yells, "I knew very well that all he said was ridiculous. Not light for their darkness, but flattery."
With every lie that comes out of the Shaper's mouth, the angrier Grendel gets because he knows the truth. He has seen it. Well, this next question is one that Emily and I have ourselves. Why is Grendel still scared of man even after he knows they cannot hurt him? Even after Grendel has been given the power of no weapons being able to kill him, he is still frightened by man.
A few raids after his first one, he admits, "I was afraid of them from habit. My idiotic fear of them mounted."
I think Grendel is mainly scared because of how man presents himself. They believe they are the strongest of warriors and the superior race. If one is messed with, the others have each other's back. Grendel doesn't have this.
He is by himself, and I think that's what scares him the most.
Well, I understand that. I mean, I also hate being alone. Okay, continuing on. Gardner52 wants to know what we think would have happened if Grendel's life, if the dragon had never put that charm on him. I believe if the dragon had never put the charm on Grendel, he would have died way before he did. Plain and simple.
I disagree with that. I don't think he would have been so violent as he became if he knew he could have been killed easily.
Well, Grendel says once he began killing that he, quote, had become himself. The mama-eyed searched the cliffs for once in vain. Even if the dragon hadn't charmed him, he would have ran out of patience with man and started becoming passionate about his race. But I can see how others would think the opposite, just like my partner did. Alrighty, friends. This is the final question of today. And At Me Grendel wants to know, why does Grendel not want to kill Unferth?
I don't think he doesn't kill him because he doesn't want to, but keeping him alive entertains him a lot more. The first time they see each other, instead of fighting him, he realizes how pathetic the hero of the town actually is. So he starts throwing apples at him for entertainment. Grendel later realizes that Unferth wants to die, so he is seen as a hero who would die for his king. So as ruthless as Grendel is, Unferth alone is always spread and furiously jealous of the dead. This caused Unferth more pain, and I think that's why Grendel keeps him alive. Mocking the humans helps Grendel have an advantage to man. Well, that's all for today, AP listeners.
Hopefully this is our final podcast and maybe did some good with helping y'all.
And remember,
it's a great day to read Grendel.